Is it too late? To everything there's a season, an opportunity to harvest based on the seeds we have planted, to heal what is no more, within them each a reason, a purpose, a time, helping us decide what we choose to embrace or not. This upcoming solar eclipse and new moon in Libra is no different, as we are invited into the reality held within all potential. Transition, empowering us to pause and prioritise any lifetime commitments, facing internal conflicts we may have with these, by releasing what no longer works, simplifying the choices we take forward, leaning into rather than against the grief of cycles that no longer support our natural growth. I'm unsure whether these musings will be leading to the blog for the new moon, if these words will be read as they are or not at all, but that doesn't stop me from sitting here, feeling into the energies, leaning into the potential, allowing my mind to take what it senses and create something with the ideas floating around within it. Watching my fingers typing as if they know what is coming next, trusting the process, myself, the relationship I have with creativity and how it wishes to be expressed, based on something so simple, yet often avoided: how I feel. Not the outcome, whether this piece will be liked, result in more subscriptions, fuel my always present need to be accepted. As I show up, instead, committed to the hollow bone I so often claim to be, in relation to whatever wants to come through. A skill of mine I've almost lost sight of over the last few weeks, or at least would have, had it not been for the grief that I've felt. Held like us all between eclipses in the weird space of a luminous potential, as the equinox brought forth a deeper awareness of my own imbalances. In the soul I'd begun to lose sight of, not my mother, as I naively believed, but myself. Changing the language I used in posts, newsletters, offerings, comparing what I do or don't, as my current situation has forced me to face, to others. This morning I barely recognised the person I'd become. Stressed, pulled apart from perfection and people-pleasing, I now find myself in the space I've been avoiding. Transition. Knowing it is essential to any real lasting change, not the results, but my ability to integrate them, to embody what I've discovered prior to the 1010 portal, to ensure the cycles I wish to take forward, healing what is ending and creating differently in a more sustainable relationship with myself and the environment I am reflecting. Something we are all encouraged to feel into with the upcoming new moon eclipse in Libra. Not known as the Ring of Fire for no reason, this rebirth has become dependent on our ability to honestly hold space for ourselves before we point out any scarcity in others. By recognizing the polarities within, having peace with any conflict we may find, deciding whether to embrace the situations and relationships that we have or not. All of them with reason, some for a season. It's the lifetime commitments we are now being encouraged to prioritize. Be that people, purpose, or our own morals. Occurring in the sign of the scales, it is the personal goals we hold dear that often bring the greatest weight, ensuring we build necessary negotiations towards them without compromising our principles, including how they feel within our own heart space. A truth we must all face if any important shifts are to occur. Meaning a newfound level of effort may be required, especially in areas where we have felt taken advantage of or underappreciated. With Mars trine Saturn, now is a time to pace and keep our feet on the ground, as Venus, Libra's ruling planet, harmonizes with this union. This upcoming eclipse does also square the planet of war, reminding us not only to watch for rushed decisions, but take time to talk and rethink situations through. With the additional support of Mercury and the Sun, in the cardinal air sign of Libra, we are guided to remember eclipses are often a time of darkness, to wait, if possible, until we can see the whole picture. Last occurring in the same degree in October 2005, 1986, and 1978, reflecting over these crucial times can bring forth the answers we seek, provided, of course, we can openly accept any continued imbalances based on what was occurring back then. By making new routines or strengthening existing ones, we can focus on areas that may need some time and or space, finding harmony in the situations that energize or drain us for the emotional indicators that they are, as we appreciate what works, what doesn't, and where it may be necessary to move on, perhaps to skills, employment, relationship, or situations we have avoided but always felt drawn to. In these more authentically aligned actions, the safety and security sought will be found in our own intuitive honesty. Despite how it may feel, by embracing the tenderness available in this truth, any justice, fairness, or equality can be received simply by changing our situations for the better. From here, we can expect some major turning points in our lives, radical shifts of direction, as many shadow revelations and hidden agendas finally become known, for some unexpectedly, assisting us to make space for progress as we humbly embrace what is meant to be. The final eclipse of the year, we will be shown perhaps where our assumptions have led us astray, providing some much needed clarity, not only in our relationships, but the judgments and less than stable foundations they have been built upon in the process, assisting us to step into who we are rather than suppress our feelings. From here, any networking becomes more heart-led in its synergy. Occurring in the second decan, linked to the Three of Swords in the Tarot, conjunct Black Moon Lilith, it is only in the stages of our own development, including how we witness loss or change, that we can break down the creative force beneath it all. Choosing to take vulnerable, gentle strength and power forward in our collective deeds, or, if unable to observe any narcissistic craving uncertainties, manipulate our own domineering desires onto those we claim to hold dear. By looking at how far we will go to be loved, liked, followed even, we may find some uncomfortable yet needed truths in how well we are relating to our own voice, determining what and who it is that really needs to listen to the situations we find ourselves in as a result, if we are to express any real change. We must step into this personal empowerment by trusting our own divine timing and connecting to the cycles we find ourselves in. We can develop the wisdom from there, now longing to be born through all of us, for all those we are willing to share it with, of course. Navigating between responsibility and desire, with Mars transit Scorpio and upcoming square between Saturn and Venus, becoming more able to lean into what we want before doing what we think we should, will bring about the redefining of our own uniqueness. Resetting and establishing attentions in the process, not only in how we relate both to ourselves and others, but in the cultivation of the deeper inner balance and peace that we long for. Less concerned about the opinion of others, any inner child trauma that didn't receive the praise it needed can then be freed to create for the sheer joy of the experience. Making peace with any past conflicts had with this, as we then decide on the narrative that we wish to take into 2025, for the light now needed in our lives. With determination and focus, we can become the catalyst to any change, provided we are courageous enough to feel what that may be. Without the more shadow aspects of obsession and control, of course, that this eclipse will invite from within us all. By balancing structure with love, beauty, and values, including those of financial matters, Saturn squaring Venus encourages any karmic relationships to be seen for the self-worth available, in recognizing any boundaries, limitations, and commitments they have negotiated, one way or another. With realistic discipline and aligned actions, in these transitory times, we are supported to stay true to ourselves, through often painful separation to what isn't part of this, as we realize a few degrees from the South Node, this eclipse is here to highlight any areas we may have outgrown, to reach our fullest potential. Release-orientated, like the seasons we find ourselves in, we must acknowledge all beginnings require a letting go, as we adjust to our passions and get down to the business of connecting to them in a more open-hearted manner. From here, any relationships that work together can expect an upgrade in their commitment and priority as we move on from any dynamics that no longer cut it. simply by admitting to ourselves how something feels. As we break free from old patterns, not those of others, but within. Despite being a new moon with the chaos of eclipses, it is never advisable to concentrate on manifestation, but sit back and be held by the knowing that change happens naturally, like any birth. If we are to avoid unnecessary trauma, especially in moments of increased discomfort, it is our reactions that now need nurturing rather than pushed through. By showing up with honesty and transparency, this vulnerable compassion is all that is required to shift any stagnant energy, as we are witnessed by our true value. Having this mirrored back in our environments in the process, we receive the reality check behind this astrological event, not in the fear or darkness often portrayed, but the healing of reflecting on our core beliefs, whilst releasing any repressions they may have inadvertently held within us, as we allow ourselves to forgive and be forgiven. Occurring on the 2nd of September at 7:49 p.m., we are supported numerically by the archetypal energies of the High Priestess, Wheel of Fortune, Strength, Chariot, and Hermit vibrationally, addressing a fundamental need to seek internal change by stepping into our own light with gentility and emotional openness. Interestingly, these frequencies add up to judgment, both in the date and accuracy of timing, leaving the weighing up of any heavy opinions, prejudice, and subconscious stories determined by the overall energy of the Emperor and Fool alike, granting us the potential of a new perspective regarding the relationship we have with ourselves, the path we walk, and the necessary endings behind any actions now required. May we all simplify the directions we take by going within rather than storming out of any cycles we find ourselves relating to. In deepest munay, I ask you now, is it too late? You know where I am. Take care. Kirsty.